Namaste, welcome, welcome. This is Galactic Shaman Blissness. This is another spontaneous love stream live. Very excited to be joined by my beautiful sister, Nicola Light, today. And if you are we should be live on multiple platforms. Put in the comments and let us know that you are getting through and you're seeing us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and all those platforms all over there. And again, this is just a spontaneous love stream. We have no idea, other than a beautiful title above us and a little bit of a chat we've had beforehand. Without further ado, I shall bring our sister, Nicola Light, Galactic Shaman. Namaste, welcome, sister. Hello, hello.
Hey, 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 how are you doing?
So good, so good, so good to be here with you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for
Mm.
bringing the Galactic Shaman Blissness here. We had a fun little chat before we came on about galactic shamans, and yeah, it's fun, 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 fun.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because you actually said, what do you want me to sort of like call you as a label, as an identification?
Temporary label, yeah.
Temporary label, because it shifts and morphs and changes all the time.
Yeah.
And it was definitely the Galactic Shaman sort of came up. So I was like, well, I haven't used that for a while. So I don't know why that's come up today. So it'd be
Well,
interesting to sort of see
absolutely.
how the call goes today.
For sure. Again, we have no idea what's coming. We just like to be spontaneous and flow. And yeah, we were just talking about, I suppose we can just start there because it's right above here, isn't it? That
Mm.
I had never heard the term galactic shaman ever until my one, I can't remember, 1 or 2 year old son telepathically told me I am a galactic shaman and actually did some very powerful work on me when I was in a very challenging space. And I actually saw it was so hilarious seeing his baby body and then seeing the actual galactic shaman that just nearly filled the whole room. So, and he's now 5 year old. So that's one connection and I suppose opening to this galactic shaman idea. Where
Yeah.
did this come for you? Because I think it was similar for you. It was you hadn't heard, it came to you as these things do. Um,
Mm.
when did this come to you, or how did this come around?
Gosh, I mean, that must have been probably about 4 years ago
Ah,
that, I was, sort of continuing on with my, healing journey, and I was sort of doing an awful lot of transmutation of negative energy through my physical body.
mm,
And it was a sort of like a thing that, really in the very beginning of my journey of healing, really sort of made me feel a little bit uneasy because to actually think of, an old, the old traditional way of a shaman to actually move the energy entities out of somebody's energetic field. They would take the energy in and then they would transmute it through their negative, through their bodies.
mm.
And then now the sort of the shamanism is more, sort of drums and things like that. But a traditional shaman would actually move the entity, take the energy in, and then transmute it. Go off into a little sort of tent somewhere or a cave, and literally just transmute it through. And it was like almost like a rite of passage that journey sort of came in to transmute that negative energy through my field. Um, but it sort of intensified. And then the words galactic shaman came in. And then I said, well, what is a shaman? What is this? What is that? And so the actual format of it is that I'm not an earth shaman, I'm a galactic shaman. So a galactic shaman is that I can transmute negative energy through my field that is in the galactic frequencies of light. So if there's anything that is connected to a multi-dimensional aspect that needs to be integrated into somebody's system, then I can connect them to that aspect if that aspect needs healing or it has some sort of cord or something to it um, that it needs to come in, but it needs an adjustment to come into somebody's energetic field. So
Mm.
quite a long answer to your question, but it sort of enabled me to have an understanding what it is that I do. So that actually helps and assists people move through into their multidimensionality. So that's the sort of work I do.
Amazing, so beautiful, and it's so because I couldn't get whether it was like what he was 1 or 2. But when you're saying 20, that would be 2020, I guess. Yeah, 4 years ago. It was
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah.
it was exactly around that time when he shared
Oh,
that it was because he's 5 years old and he was between 1 or 2. I know he was very small, so that's very interesting around the same time.
yeah.
So the galactic shamans awakening across the planet, and I suppose you said before as well you haven't heard of many other, you haven't connected with many other
Yeah,
that are sharing this like this term and this work.
yeah,
So interesting. Interesting if
yeah.
anyone watching has, connected with
Mm,
that or feels that as well, because it's beautiful. And the experience I had with him, I was in a really bad way, one of my bad ways, and he was like a baby, and like his body just baby body disappeared, and he just became this galactic
yeah.
shaman. I was able to see it, and it was huge. And wow, the work that took place very quickly as well, very quickly how it happened. So very interesting times that we're living in. So
Mm, yeah.
I'm guessing like me, Nicola, you weren't always a galactic shaman. You always were a galactic shaman, but on this Earth suit, you weren't always using the term galactic shaman. Tell us a little bit about Nicola before the light and before the galactic shaman, if there is something you'd like to share.
Yeah, I mean, I was married for a very, very long time, and I was sort of like a housewife, so we used to do the gardening, run the kids to school, living in sort of like quite a privileged sort of relationship. A typical old-fashioned, sort of mother doing the general duties, and it was a sort of like it was beautiful, it was absolutely wonderful, but then my spirituality come on board after what it's like with the dark night of the soul, and then boom, here comes meditation, breath work, and light language. So so it all sort of like shifted, and then the relationship shifted, which and then that things happen from there, don't they? So it's been a bit of a ride, but it's been so enjoyable at the same time. So yeah, so it is. But I sort of like saw you in the very beginning with when you was wandering around when you was on Facebook. It was years ago, and with your son that was a baby at the time, and
Yes,
that's how I connected with you because of your
really.
light language.
Oh, galactic shamans were putting us together, of course. Wow. Yes. Wow.
Mm.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, the light language. Wow. How was your journey of bringing the light language in? Because mine was like such a challenge for me. I was like so resistant to it and so afraid. I was terrified actually at the beginning because it happened to me. I got activated in light language. I didn't know it, but it was in 2014 by a lady from somewhere in the east. I can't remember, some Thailand or somewhere over that direction, and I had no idea at the time. But it took me years before I would allow it to come out. Like I was terrified, just not terrified of it, terrified of like someone else hearing this. I don't know. How was your journey with that?
Yeah, it started off actually quite sort of nicely in that it sort of moved on from my Reiki master
Mm,
um, connection. So it started off with Reiki, and it started off with my hands first of all. So it wasn't sort of, it didn't come through for voice at the very beginning.
mm,
It came in with my hand sort of signing, and then it sort of like evolved into not just this hand but this hand, and then about 5-6 weeks after, then the voice started to come in. And I was sort of, I was on this sort of journey of like, well, what's going on here? Then questioning everything, just like yourself. But I would sort of, where I'd sort of be doing my jobs and doing things in the house and running the kids to the school, I wasn't afraid of expressing it until I had a little bit of a connection to something that wasn't of the light, shall we say.
mm,
Um, and then somebody then questioned why was that, and then they went into fear and they didn't like it. So
mhm,
it was more that somebody was judging it, that then I started to judge myself in
mm,
the very beginning, and then I was like, oh, maybe I should shut it down then, because they say that I should. And
mm.
um, so it was a sort of more of an outward fear. But the more I sort of pushed through, then more I was starting to unpack and unpick. And until today, where I assist people with their light language, with the ignition and the understanding of it and the deepening of it. And I've got a few clients actually. So one in particular is Deb Rose, that she is a galactic shaman also. So along my journey, I've ignited a lot of people's understanding of their journey, but then they then get the deep realization that they're also galactic shamans. But there
Mhm.
wasn't many, my higher self has said, that are actually present upon the earth. So it's really wonderful that more of us are coming online, because then we can deepen into it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's sort of like it's a judgment thing from the mind, because you want to try and understand it,
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, I was like well on my journey when this was coming, and even like towards the end, like I was already vocally channeling and doing it publicly. But the light
Mm,
language for me, there was something, even with my wife, it was crazy. Like we share everything all of the time, and I was afraid to share it with her. So it was some, you know, maybe some Irish Catholic conditioning was still there. And it's interesting what you shared there, because I hear this a lot, and so many people have been sharing over the years. Like what I'm hearing you saying about that experience is like we get these tests, and we get these tests. Are you gonna shut it down, or are you gonna step up? You get knocked down, or you get like a comment, or you get like someone that's just like, wow, the opposite of what you're feeling for sure. um
mm.
and we get these tests, and I feel like I'm continually getting these tests. Have you had that experience where you feel like you're getting tested?
Do you know what? It's really interesting that, sort of like the deeper that I go into my inner wisdom ignition, I would call it, is rather than the understanding from mind to conceptualize what it's all about, and the ignition of remembrance, the more it is actually quite irrelevant what anybody else thinks. You just sort of go in and just think, well, if you don't understand it, you're not ready to receive it, and that's all right. So that's the observation of somebody else, that you actually say, it's all right, it's okay. But it's pushing through that ego to actually sort of say, well, actually, it doesn't matter. In the beginning, when people would judge it, I would then be like, ooh. But anybody out there that started on their light language journey, just keep pushing through the emotional blocks,
Mm.
because the more you deepen into it, light language is so powerful. It's the soul speaking through your senses. It's so amazing. And like Karen's just sort of put there, it is that fear that is that religious context
Mm.
of, you
Absolutely.
know.
Absolutely. Oh my God, yeah. I mean, for me, there wasn't any external. It was all internal judgment. So it was a really good test for me. It was a really good initiation. And yeah, I'm sure we'll get to some light language as we move on. But I'd be interested to. So you were saying, so this light language was coming when you were still in your quote old life. This was happening, like
Mm.
that. How was that? I know you said that you were easy. No, you were open to expressing it. How was the um, interaction with family and stuff like that in the beginning?
Ooh.
Another
Yeah.
another test.
Yeah, another test is one of those tests. Yeah, it was, when you go through that mode of like, oh yeah, I want to search this information out, and I'm a sponge, and I'm searching on this, searching on that, and we all go through it. These are all stepping stones. We've all been there through the journey. So if anyone's in that sort of phase, just go for it. Just
Yeah.
research. But then we get to a point of empowerment. And when we come to empowerment, then we can just say, do you know what, actually, sod it. I'm just going to express. So I would be in the kitchen, just started to sing a little bit of light language. And then the family members would be like, oh, she's off on one again. What's she doing?
Of
She's
course.
making it up. And so, yeah, so there was a bit of that.
Of course. I mean, it's to be expected as well. What we're bringing is completely, and so many people now is bringing it. It's like it's not for the mind. It's not for understanding. So you do understand these responses. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting. I feel like it's a very important time. That light language. Everything's perfect. It's happening the way it's meant to be. But I feel like because of the amount of kind of confusion with human language, the misinterpretation, all the different languages, which again were a way in which to separate us and keep us differentiated and keep us, not understanding each other. I think it's more and more important that this comes, and yeah, anyone that's got it within them and they're still keeping it in the shower, bring it out to the world.
I always get from my higher self, there is no more time for mucking about. Stop
Mm,
it. Come on, step into your true light of who you are and
yeah,
start to really embrace it. Be authentic with your expression. If it comes out, it comes out. And the more that we actually do that, the more we seed in others to, to to actually spark it. But it's becoming more and more and more prevalent in lots of people. So in a couple of years' time, there'll be so many people that are be expressing it that it'd be the new normal.
exactly.
It will
Yeah,
become the new norm.
yeah,
So
for sure.
it's exciting times for that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And so you are currently in Sweden.
Hmm.
Tell us
Yeah.
what is going on there. Is you there for a specific purpose, or is it you're just playing, traveling? What's happening there?
Yeah, I'm in a new relationship
Oh,
the guy is Swedish, so that's why I'm
congratulations!
here. So yeah, so it's sort of like to and fro in
Hmm.
England and Sweden. So that's the reason why I'm here.
Right.
Um, so yeah, so which is good, which is really good.
Yeah.
So that's really, yeah, really
There's
good.
a
And
nice.
he doesn't mind the light language either. So
Okay, that's a good start. That's a very good start. And
yeah,
there's nice little we in the middle of Sweden there. There's a good. I like it. I like it. Sweden. Yeah, it's beautiful, beautiful country. We were
yeah.
there again around that same time as well. I think it was 2019 we were there. Beautiful, beautiful place. We were there in the summertime.
It's almost like a yeah. Sorry to interrupt, but it's almost like a sort of winter time. It's so dark.
Mm,
You've got all the
right.
snow, and then it's really dark for like the most of the time. You get like about 4 or 5 hours worth of sun,
Yeah.
and then the summer, as you go sort of like May onwards, you just
Bit.
get nothing but sun. So it's sort of like dark, so it is quite a sort of like an extreme. Um, sort of place to be in that way.
Yeah.
But the people are really very lovely,
Yeah.
and thankfully a lot of people speaks English because.
That's funny you bring that up. See, human languages are an absolute nightmare for me. I have like been trying. Well, I haven't tried. It's just because light language came so easily. I mean, the challenges. It wasn't like the learning of it, of course. It was the challenge of expressing it. But human languages are such a challenge for me, and I'm waiting for the day that I channel other human languages because there's one that's just like it's a real challenge.
Do you know
But
what? I would be by your side if you do,
oh, you're
because I
saying?
would. Well, how did you do that? Because I've just got this absolute mental block, and I can speak all these different dialects will come in. I hear a different dialect; it comes in really very easily, and I can expand out into all of that, and I, get this sort of understanding of light language when sort of translating it, and all that comes along with it. And then you try and speak a bit of Swedish. It's just like I've been here for for quite a time on and off over the last year and a bit, and I'm still not able to even place myself into another language. It's because it's so forced, the whole
Mm,
spelling,
mm.
and separation. It just doesn't resonate. It's really, really sort of complicated things for our mind to even consider. And I'm so pleased that you said the same thing.
I was going to say I've never talked to anyone about that before, so that's obviously a theme. So there's obviously parts because we're set up obviously to bring this through. So there's
Mm,
certain pathways. Maybe this is just coming now as we speak. There's certain pathways that are set up so that we are able to bring these other non human languages through, and maybe those multiple languages of the human, because it's much
mm,
more dense, it's much more separation based, it's much more mental. Maybe
yeah.
that's now my excuse, which I am taking forever, that I can't learn human languages. So thank you for that. High five on that one.
Yeah,
But
that why go backwards, they're saying.
yes,
Why evolve into another language when we can evolve further into the pure flowing of language through us?
Absolutely.
So it's, so, and that's no disrespect for bilingualists.
Of
You know,
course, I
people
admire them.
really
Yeah,
want to. But from our perspective, this is what we're holding, so that's what
this
we
is our truth, and
do.
we're definitely holding on to that one until we
Yeah,
don't. But I've one interesting thing. I've been like pretty much 24/7 with my wife since we've been together, like pretty much, and especially since our son was here. But I can't remember what year it was he was born, so it was after 2018. There was a UFO conference where I was going to do breath work in it, and it was one of the few times that I left. I went to Barcelona, and we went to do that, and so my wife was on her own with my son, and so at night this energy was coming that wasn't so pleasant, was coming to mess with her, uh, and she said I appeared above. It was in the bed. I appeared above the bed, and speaking total fluent Portuguese, dissolved this being, and it was gone, and then disappeared, and I was back, and then we spoke about it the next day. So there is a possibility as well. So that aspect of me was speaking fluent Portuguese to get rid of this. I call it rascals. I call them little rascals. I don't
yeah.
give them any more power than it is. But so yeah, there's a possibility. But that's my only experience of another human language influencing. Oh my god, it's
Yeah,
funny.
I'm with you there. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's amazing, isn't it?
yeah.
You know, it's just that those reasons why that mind block has come in for us
Mm,
from a higher perspective.
yeah.
Because actually, if we really actually, drill down into it, we probably could,
Mm.
but it just doesn't feel. It's not that we. I suppose it's not. It's almost like I can't be bothered. But
Yeah,
it's not that. It's not that we don't want to. It's just like a resistance to it.
that can't be. It's like that for me because see when I like learning new things and discovering new things in human, I love like read nonstop. Like my guides have told me recently because of a process that I'm going through is to completely information fast. So I've not been recently, but I just love to learn. I love new things, and I'm always curious, and I'm always. Uh, so it's like yeah. We'll stick with our story. I think it's serving us very well here. So you're originally from the UK. Whereabouts in the UK did you grow up?
Yeah, in Kent, so about
Okay.
an hour away from London.
Yes,
So yeah,
the
that's
Garden of
where I.
England.
Yeah, the Garden of England, indeed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful. We were there a while ago as well. Um, and so how was your young years as Nicola?
Yeah, I was a sort of a middle daughter of three daughters, and in a sort of a working class background. Never felt that I fitted in.
Okay.
Um, yeah, didn't just sort of didn't really resonate with the whole human experience in the beginning. Was very, very shy, didn't speak to anybody, would
Mm.
continuously was glowing red with
Uh,
embarrassment.
mm.
Um, and it was really interesting actually because when I was a child, I found it very difficult to actually speak. My mum used to say actually that my sister used to translate what I would say because my speaking language, wasn't there. So
That's
even
another
from a
tick in our
child,
box. That's another tick in our box. Yes, I love it.
yeah, yeah. So it was really difficult, and I remember trying to pronunciate, and I still do it now. And that's probably even a word that I just said there that I just can't grasp, and I just skim over it. And I
Mm,
remember honestly, Martin, that I remember when I was at school in the very beginning at school where they was saying this you formulate the letter A, B, C, and they was sort of like given all these sort of spellings, and spelling was not my thing either.
yeah.
And I remember, and it's really interesting that I was sitting there just scribbling, which would have been light language codes. And the codes were coming out like this, and my teacher said to me, and I remember it as a key point in my memory as a child, is that she said, "What are you doing? This is just ridiculous." And I was like, oh.
Tested so early. Oh wow. Yeah.
When my little light language codes as a child was like, oh yes, this is what it is. Oh, remembering. and then it was just like slapped out of me,
Oh,
you
of
know.
course.
So,
I was going to say, like, I don't know if you're in the time, like, the generations before, like in Ireland, and when you were like, not my generation, but the generation before, if you were left-handed, they would literally beat it out of you. They would literally make people right-handed. So I can only imagine what would happen if you're doing no light code. You're just messing it. Wow, crazy, crazy.
isn't that absolutely
Oh,
ridiculous, isn't it? That the
human
you know that
insanity.
we're told that you cannot write with the left hand.
Hmm. It didn't work with me. It didn't work with me. So me and Einstein. I'm still my handwriting's not great, but I'm still with the left. So yeah, but thankfully in my time it wasn't so much. But they were it was this great, and this is why it's so important that what's coming now, like we're coming out of dark ages really. When we thought we were evolved in some way, we were such dark ages, and I know, I'm sure through your experiences, you've seen and experienced things that's just so far beyond what we're even currently living through. So yeah, we're
Mm,
bridges. I think we're bridges to
yeah,
this new way, and it's exciting time to
yeah,
be alive. And
it is definitely.
how have you gone through the global initiation over the last sort of 3-4 years?
What did you with all of the things that have been
Well,
occurring?
just the
The
whole
transition.
this whole, yeah, this transition, this global initiation that the whole planet and all of humanity. How was it for you?
Yeah,
Period.
it's it's been a beautiful ride in many ways. Is the people that really resonate, the people that are really coming into my life. These wonderful people, these shifts is what I look at rather than the density within it.
Yeah,
Sort of looking at all of the deconstruction of, the financial system, the schooling system, and all of the health stuff that we've all endured over the last years,
yeah,
is that, I'm totally aware and I'm not denying any of it. But what I'm really sort of looking into, and I sort of always speak about, is the movement into the light,
yeah,
which is the creation of the new, the light igniting within us, remembering who we are. And, Shirley and Ken from Glastonbury is one particular sort of couple that, I've really connected to, that live in Glastonbury, and these wonderful people, and sort of like Donna and Patty and Karen and Kath and, sort of people down the side here on the comments, all of these wonderful people that we're all connecting to, regardless of who they are. And it's not to belittle that, because they are really important to me, all these wonderful people. But all of these wonderful energies are sparking and really stepping into who they are to create the new. So it almost sort of feels like the last couple of years are actually quite irrelevant to a degree,
yeah.
because it's that building of the new. We must bring in the new, and we must be authentic and step into our mission to enable us to really start that shift of reality.
Yes, yeah, for sure. I mean, when I'm having conversations, it's funny I asked you that question, because if someone asks me about these things, it's like those years kind of disappear. It's like trying to talk about. It's quite a challenge, because of course we've had huge timeline jumps because of this, and I've always talked about, whatever happened and happening is like, I feel like these few years have been the like all the stuff that went before was scratching the surface, and all of the light workers and all the things that was going on was scratching the surface, and this jump, like this was huge. This is
Mm,
taken
yeah,
like way beyond anything that was done before, quantum. So yeah,
yeah,
it's funny. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
it's a
yeah.
challenge to talk about because it's not
Yeah,
available. Yeah,
yeah, it's not available. It's a thing that's sort of like been sort of coming up, and I speak to a beautiful friend of mine called Inga, and we were sort of speaking, is that we can get into so much of the storyline and identification of the old us,
mm,
and we can perpetuate cycles of experience where we're holding on to a healing journey. And it's beautiful to sort of talk about our past and who we were in different lifetimes. and then we're sort of shifting into the new, but they're all sort of like linking us into the ego mind all the time. But the evolution of the soul's journey is moving us into a higher mind to embody our higher self into the body. And so, when we sort of talk about the now moment, it's the old stories that we tell ourselves about, oh, where this happened and that happened, keeps us in this sort of like or flip back into the inverted matrix.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And it's
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 something that I'm really aware of.
yeah, and it's so interesting because whenever we talk about our past, we're not realizing that our past is continuously there is only now. Our past that we think is our past was not our past 5 seconds ago. Our pasts and futures are continuously shifting. It's all because it's this now. But what we think of as our past it wasn't the same 5 minutes ago, 5 seconds ago, 5 years ago. But it appears as so because this is the pathway we're on now. So if we're
Yeah.
anything other than what is here now, what is present now, we're
Mm.
yeah, like you said, we're just strengthening the illusion. We're strengthening this inverted matrix that keeps us in this reaching for a future, or pining for a past, or rejecting a past, and
Yeah.
missing what is always here. And what is always here is always here. And so the stories, yeah, less and less that's going to come. But I like having fun as well, and getting to know,
Yeah, no,
getting to know.
definitely.
But it's like it's so interesting because our
Yeah.
it's always shifting.
It's always shifting, but it's really lovely to people actually hear a story when they're
Of course.
moving through their journey. And so, we must honor all of our aspects of ourselves. So absolutely, sort of, the questions that you've asked me, on not belittling what you've asked me, but it's many people actually need to know that, that we started off just like yourselves, and we may be a footstep ahead. It doesn't make us any better because we're having this conversation live. It doesn't make any of us better. We're just all on our internal journey to really remember who we are. And if there's something that we can sort of share which is resonating, that helps you sort of move forward on with the journey, then that's a good thing, because like I said in the beginning, is that we've been there. We know about the trauma, we know about the dark night of the soul, we know about sort of how does it impact when you ignite your light language with your family members.
Mhm.
We know all of this stuff because we've experienced it. So it's good to share all of that as well,
Yes.
but not hook yourself back into the system.
Yeah, and I think it's the identification. No, a story. If we identify as the story, then the story becomes a weight. But if we're telling a story like we tell a children's story, like we tell something that captures the imagination, or touches the heart, without identifying as that is me and that's my history and that's who I am or who I was, then the
Mm.
story can become empowering. It can become opening. It's not hooking
Hmm.
back to this like that's that's what it was, and I've come through this, and now because it's very easy for the little permy ego victim to attach on. Is this loves that stuff. It just loves, it just
Yeah.
thrives in past and future. And the truth of us is just always apparent and appearing as what is, which doesn't
Mm.
have a future,
Yeah.
doesn't have a past. And this ever evolving expansion is
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah. There was some information that came forward today that I did a little video on my YouTube channel about the upgrade of the human ego mind structure. And that was really interesting, actually. And it was about the information of the upsurge of the masculine and feminine energy that is coming through with these present energies. And if we think of the third eye as an infant, as a child, the mother, father, God spark within is igniting here, and then it's actually moving into transforming the ego into more of a nurturing valve of energy that allows the ego to upgrade itself. Does that make sense? So it's like the ego converts from a fight and flight mode into more of an in tune triad. So look, mother, father, God spark, moving up into creation. So child meaning creation, and so it could be like a creating a child or a project, or sort of a writing on or creating here, is that the energy of our balancing of our masculine and feminine energy is creating an upsurge for the mind to evolve, and the ego to evolve with the frequencies that are coming in.
Yeah.
So it was really very interesting to me to sort of have that shown to me, that the ego is upgrading, which is then the letting go of the story.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, especially anyone that maybe came through the kind of Eastern teachings, this is important to hear, because in some of the Eastern, they're amazing and amazing for the time, and there's a lot of value and a lot of wisdom in
Mm,
those. But a lot of them, see the ego as this enemy and something that's to be dissolved, and something that's like something to get rid of, and you know
yeah.
that idea. I think again in the original teachings it's not like that, but like everything gets distorted in this inversion. But it's, yeah, that's exactly the journey where I am at the moment. I'm moving into this pranic journey where I had this initiation about 6 weeks ago, and this is not about like transcending the ego. It's like upgrading every level, being able to not needing to drop the body to
Yeah.
experience ourselves as the full being. And so yeah, completely aligned with what I'm experiencing and moving through. And it was about 6 weeks
Mm,
ago I was at a breatharian conference, just going to be in the space with all these amazing beings that are living this, I suppose, advanced way with no intention. And my team came in during a meditation, and physical hunger disappeared 6 weeks ago. And so I'm still having juices. I'm not like anywhere near fully pranic yet, but and this totally
mm,
aligns with what this was, an upgrade of, like the egoic structure is no longer this idea of something that, yeah, that we're going to move beyond. I'm not No, this is a part that has been distorted and has been used in the
mm,
inversion to keep us in the story, like you said. And
yeah.
now that's coming to be what its divine blueprint was, is the ability of a light being to experience physicality that is impossible outside of a physical form, in the ways that we experience through all of our senses. And that's,
Mm,
yeah, that's the experience. And then of course, so external sustenance becomes less and less, because the story in the
yes.
ego, it's based on body consciousness, it's based on survival, it's
Yeah.
based on need. And that's becoming less and less and less. And that's open to all of us. It's We all are nourished completely. We are all source fed, or sourced
Yeah.
resource. It's just the layers of these things of, and all the density and history of this inversion that has made us believe that we
Mm,
need anything at all, anything. So
yeah.
that's the journey
Yeah.
that's
I
appearing.
love that so much. I love that so much. When I first heard about breatharians, it
Yeah.
was probably about 8 years ago, and I thought, how's that possible? That's a bit weird. And so I thought, well, I'll park that on the shelf. I'll park it, and I'll just sort of think about that a bit, and just be have an awareness. And I totally get where you're coming from with sort of like the prana, the breathing. Is that when you go on, say, maybe a water fast, or you're going through sort of like not eating so much, is that, when you get that sense of hunger within you, it's just a learned behavior of the body.
Yeah,
And so, we don't need as much food anymore,
definitely.
and the physical body can literally just sort of sustain that frequency, because food is frequency,
Yeah,
it is energy, but we're using the light source to bring that in. But then it's always the mind, isn't it? Again, that pesky little mind of ours, is that we think, oh, maybe I might have a bit of dark chocolate or something. you know,
yeah.
you
No,
know.
it's filtered light. It's filtered light, and it's again, it's like the religions became the middleman between you and God, and like food is one of the, and not just food. There's like everything that we need is a filtration of between us and our direct source, which is always feeding us on every level, in every way. We're nourished in every level. We are resourced all of the time, and it's just, yeah, it is still, like you said, it's just, it's code, it's vibration, and the more and more we become who we truly are, the less and less we will need absolutely anything. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it's fun. It's
That
fun.
deconstruction of everything, isn't it? You know,
Yes.
it's it's like you said that, you sort of shifted the way that you're living,
Yeah.
you know, and and we don't need so much stuff.
Phew.
You know,
We
I
don't
moved
call them
out,
possessions for nothing.
a really I moved out of a really big house with having a dressing room, right? I used to have a full packed dressing room, shoes, the lot, the big shoes. Feel ridiculous. And so sort of materialistic in so many ways. And now I could actually fit all of my possessions in my car.
Yeah. This
You
is
know,
this is
it's
living
like
light. This is living light. This distortion
yeah,
that we've been is like the consuming, the taking, the having, and it's been so effective. It's been so effective. Like our whole lifetime, for a
mm,
few generations, this like consumption has just been so effective. And wow, just living light. Yeah, we're living in a tiny home on wheels since last August, and like all of it. Yeah, and it's like even then we still gather stuff, and we're still amazed by how much stuff that appears. Like it's just like, where did that come from? So like every 6 months we've been doing this for years myself, and we just get rid of everything. We give it away, we sell it, we do whatever, and just lighten up. And it's like during, like in many of the groups that I would have led, we always would have done these um, processes where we would get the whole group to start doing. If some people had never done it before, it was like a revelation. But you just give away stuff, give away with love. I like Marie Kondo. I don't know if you've heard of her. She had a book, The Magic of Tidying Up, something like that. It's not like give it away. It's like love whatever it is. You love it, thank it, and give it on. It's not like, oh, throw this away. It's done with
yeah.
love. It's done with consciousness, and the lightness you feel, and the
Oh,
abundance that flows. The abundance is amazing when you do like such simple things. And I say possessions. I always get this, like possessions are something that possess you. They possess us.
oh, that's the word, the spelling of that word. Oh my
Yeah.
God, yeah,
And
possessions.
so there's little pieces of our energy and all our stuff in all those little drawers full of crap, and all of those like storage boxes and attics and all of that. And like every time we do it, it's like it's, yeah, abundant flow and just living light, and just see it like
Yeah,
it's
it's
incredible.
beautiful. I was sort of moving from one location because I'm a bit mobile at the moment, and I'm going to go and see my beautiful friend Shirley, when I come back from Sweden, and I was looking at these shoes that I had 4 pairs of high heel shoes. I thought, why am I still hanging on to these things? I haven't worn them for like 6 years, but because they were really expensive, and I
Mm.
really loved them at the time, and I loved to sort of wear them when we used to go off to the school balls and the the sort of like sort of the parties and things like that in my old life. And so I had this sort of energetic connection to
Mm.
letting them go. And so I got them, and I went to Forest Row where they've got some wonderful, really lovely sort of recycling spaces, and all the money goes into the community. Forest Row is great.
Mm.
And so I took these boxes as well as all of these other sort of bits and pieces, put them in, and I was like this. Do you know, like was it Ghost of You May Brown when she doesn't want to give away the money?
Yes, I remember.
It's like this. I was like,
Wow, that was so good.
so
So
yeah, that was really funny. So and then I went and got myself a nice smoothie afterwards, and it was like, oh, do you know what? Actually, I'm very proud of myself.
amazing, amazing. Yeah, it's powerful. It's so simple, too simple to be as powerful as it is. It really works, and it's just the
Yeah.
flow, like this abundant flow that we are as like as light beings. It's like if things are like, multiple things that we don't need. I mean, I'm still, just to say, with technology, I'm still like this. I've got stuff that I do not need, and we're due a process on that, because again, I have this curiosity, and I love technology, to use for this sort of things, all that sort of thing. So that's still something to work on. But yeah,
Mm.
my wife, I think she has two pairs of shoes, and she has all. She's a tiny little cupboard in this motorhome, and all her stuff fits in easily. Like, it's so good. Honestly,
Yeah.
it
It's
feels
very
amazing.
symbolic as well, isn't it, of our internal,
Yeah,
the more stuff that we need to sort of externally get rid of is symbolism of our inward struggle.
yeah,
And so when we look at sort of somebody that is hoarding, it
mm,
is a hoarding mentality of hoarding all of that trauma within the physical body and energetic field.
yeah, yeah,
So the more that we see ourselves not wanting, we can really love what we have and really, and experience it for what it is, and then just let it flow through us. We could just easily just say, yeah, just take it,
yeah, yeah,
because there's no attachment to it.
yeah. Absolutely, that's something I love. Michael Singer. I don't know if you know him. He wrote the book The Untethered Soul. He's an amazing teacher. But
Mm,
his teachings is Surrender Experiment is another one of his books. But he talks about this, like, just absolute surrender, just letting everything happen as it is. Like, he was in the 70s, and he went off. He was like a hippie and doing yoga in the 70s, and he wanted to go off out into this piece of land on his own and not see anyone and just do yoga and fast, and ends up this whole thing, like, just builds up around him, this huge, like, business and everything, and he just surrender. Like, someone moves into his land without telling him, okay, I surrender. It's like total freedom. But like, the little mind just think, I was like, wow, it's incredible. But I've had that before, where, you know with stuff, the thought
mm,
of the mind, about protecting stuff, and it's come up before, and then I just realize, and I see the mind, oh, it wants to protect it, it wants to keep it, it thinks it's something special, and it needs to have it. I'm getting chills as I say it, because there's a little piece of the identity in here, and if I were to lose that, I'm losing a piece of myself, maybe a little bit like your shoes, and it's around protection. And so I did this little practice where I'd be like, and again, this came from Michael Singer. He's like, so the thought comes, oh, what if that gets stolen? Whatever it is, something like what if that gets stolen? I'm okay. I'd be totally okay with that. I give it. And things did happen like this, and we taught it. We said to our son, he teaches us mostly, but these things, if something goes, that being needed it more than I'm happy to let it go. That nothing can leave you unless it's meant, let's say. And so, yeah, just being in that space of just total allowance, while still being sovereign and still being true to who you are, but not
mm,
holding on to identity of being possessed by possessions, and holding on to these things that we think, define us in a way. Because I know, like, again, I grew up as very materialistic in things, and
yeah.
wanting things and having an identity because of those things. It's amazing
Mm.
freedom that
It
comes
is fun,
from that
isn't
surrender.
it? Yeah. It's like, sort of like locking up the bike, or, locking the front door. I've got a friend that, Arabella, and she makes me laugh so much. She says, oh, yeah, I just leave all my windows open. She said, it's fine. Nobody's going to come in because it's not in my reality. And
There
I'm
we
sitting
go,
there
mastery there.
you know and so my ego still sort of clings on to that thought of, do you know what, actually, if I'm taking the bike down to the shop, I will actually lock it up.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because
This is the thing.
it costs me
It's
a lot
like,
of money, and I really don't want to lose it, and I don't want to walk back.
exactly.
So we sort of struggle between,
Of course.
actually, I will.
And it's this balancing act of this, like, total
Yeah.
surrender and non-attachment to things and this world, and
Mm.
honoring our sovereignty. Like, this is a constant mastery, I feel, in a balancing act. There's not like a right thing, I think. But it's wow, this human
Yeah,
human journey is fun, eh? This is what
it
we
is, isn't it?
this is what we're
Yeah.
here for. How
Yeah,
how's
yeah,
your time? Because we didn't talk about this before, and amazingly, 51 minutes has gone past. I'm good. I just want to just check with you, because we didn't even
yeah.
talk
No, I'm
about.
good.
You're good.
I'm pretty much done for my day. So
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So I.
Just wanted to check and honor the sovereign time in the sovereign
Oh, that's
beingness,
lovely.
because
Thank you.
how quickly that goes, like it's amazing. 51 minutes.
Oh, really
It's like, so
quick.
we don't talk about what we're going to talk about, but I did ask. I just got guided to ask you before any sort of themes that you're moving through, and I think you touched on one of them already. Was the ego mind? But there was one. There was another theme that was, I think, that was appearing for you in the field, and maybe people you're working with. Could you share a little bit about the kind of themes that's appearing at the moment?
Yeah. Okay. Now, okay. I'm getting a little bit of a download as you've just literally just asked that question. It's an awful lot of sort of upgrading of the systems and the movement of the energy through what I call the central column of light. So it's the upsurge and direct and thank you that course correction of many people's journeys. So that I'm going to spring forward some codes because I think this will assist a lot of other people as you ask that. What is the current situation da. Alamakianta da alamisimakianta. Alakianta da amisimakiatam. It is the movement into an upsurge, meaning connecting to higher levels of consciousness, but is also the embodiment, which is what you touched on also, Martin. Da. It is also about the strengthening of the energetic field to enable you to reclaim back your sovereignty of light. And the coming in and seeing which you are not to allow you to align to all that you are. This is the energy of the current now moment. It is pushing through all of those little tightenings within you that keep you constrained with your mind. And the quickening of the process is coming apparent into many people's conscious awareness. It is about the true expression coming forward to enable us to truly understand ourselves from an ego perspective. And after all, this is who we are upon the planet. We are human beings. So this journey of the opening to higher realms of consciousness to be embodied into the system, into the physical body, is also with the alignment of the spinal column, the central column, the embodied state, to let go and allow the fluidity to move through us, to enable us to make space for conscious allowance of energy to move into our field that creates that abundance of light within. So it's beautiful, actually. I'm just sort of coming out of that information just come forward, is everything that we've spoken about, Martin, regardless. It was about the structure of the body, it was about surrendering, it was about the release, it was about opening up into the mind. It was all of that that has actually been in our conversation, is that's what's been going on with many people that I've been working with, and the current energies are supporting that sort of river of energy that allows us to move through so very smoothly when we trust the process.
Mm.
And that's really 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 important. We must trust the process, trust the plan, allow our higher selves to guide us through the journey, rather than, oh, I think this is going to happen, when it probably won't, you know.
Yeah.
To go the flow, like this recording that we're doing today, is really important that we just step into that allowance, and then we get exactly what we need.
Yes. Beautiful, beautiful. And that central column of light. Back at the beginning of my journey, I would always go into these spirals, and just as you
Yeah,
were, as those codes were coming through, I'm back in that spiraling energy, and that
love,
central column
love,
is
love, love
really, yeah, really
that.
powerful, beautiful.
Yeah. Do you get this one as well, Martin? When you sort of do the
Yeah,
figure eight, the infinity symbol
absolutely,
through that spinal column, and you go round and then round and then round and round. You center it all in, and
absolutely.
this
Like this.
sort of back.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I
Oh,
love it.
well, to be, yeah, to be
Mm,
in that flow.
yeah,
Mm, yum, yeah,
mm.
no yana nekia ma yeto to ina tira susu shia prekia atu yunamaka e letwara aisena tiraki in yana to uriki ipra aiseto yana ki i yatora yana baki i susu chutu ukre yana na tira a ito u yana wa ki tera ya sutraki amaraki yana wata ita ayato kara yana mati sa ayatra wa ayamakiti amara an yata i yana a tuasa ituku upite i tira yata reatua su tuchise e tiraka yamarata e ntita u puraki inaki kianawaya yanade yamataya anamaya kitarayana sannamayana tiranamaya wananamaya nanayikara wananamaya nanamaya wanaya yanamaya lawaya nanamaya titata watia satadayata tirakata wayata parito ayasatitarito
Kuismayan makayan wala siya. That's beautiful. Yeah, non la mira. That's beautiful. Yeah, na like this that's wonderful, Martin. That was so beautiful. I sort of feel that energy sort of moving down the subconscious spine. So that's awakened something within me. So I do thank you for that. Yeah. Bawasama. Yeah, you hold a very pure expression. Sabagya. Wow.
Tekada atututi tatabara tek tek shiatsu tu tika shiatsu tu tika ira para tedito na mariana na markiti tatata vai tu yatate shiasati tarai tatira vai tatira vai
Pokoknya mata kada mai gitu kana mata.
shiasa tu tu itera patite na
Shusha mata kada gini na maki na mata kada ma.
tu shiasa satamana na yana na turo titi na ti para kotono
Da shusha mata kada gini mita kada ma to kada maki na mata kada ma.
Ito titi te avaki na tono nai
Da shusha mata kada gini no da gini ma yu ma yu a kulo kada mata kada ma.
tamayete tawa titi tam tu suma tio i
Da kulo mata kada ma.
Chita tikata ai ito tu su hatara ate te leki tisha sa ata o te namaki
Da la ni mo la wisu mata kada ma. Pako mata kada gini mo shu mata kada gini no maki yo mata kada gini ma to kada mata kada mo ko kada tikshi mata kada ma. Shusha mata kada ma.
Io tata tu tiata tia sa ya tata su tia tika bertika de tu takaba tata ate ka
Ya, poko la mata kada gini mo to kada mata kada ma. Skuta.
shit
Pa, 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 pa. It's releasing some energy off the heart. I do hope that others that are listening will be able to just sort of bring in the receiving of those beautiful codes that you're bringing forward there. Basua, bakua,
Samaraya Yemanayo
mm,
Yan
mm,
Yan
mm.
Namaraye Ho Kindaraye Yan No Yan Ai
Talaloisi, suva, 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 kukana, kukala a, kai tiki tiki tika, kai kokana a, kalo kai o, kale ena a, kolo kokane tum, paka ena a. Hmm. Yes,
What?
det är det var yes.
Oh,
Så är det mesh, jag tycker det är bra. That was beautiful.
thank
Your son
you.
came
That's
in there.
beautiful. Really?
Yeah,
Oh
which is
God.
like, hello, I know you. I know him.
Wow.
I know him
Deep,
so well.
deep by deep honoring. Thank you. So good
Mm,
to be here with you
da-
again.
We know each other from old,
Mhm.
Martin.
We just didn't know
Totally.
that we know. Mm,
Yeah.
mm,
Koyene.
mm. Tirai, tirai, tirai.
Tukayatata, wasamayene, kuayetova, kainori, shuvani, kwa.
Yanna, yamore, ati, akwaye, anna, yete, andaraya, norati, tomaya, satiwae.
Koyanete, wasia, koyanata, tsushia, koka. Mm.
Mm.
Don't you think it is absolutely amazing? And I love this, and I never get tired of it. Is that you have a connection with somebody, and you know that there's a resonance, and we've sort of like sort of connected from time to time throughout the years, and that when you actually engage into a transference of energy of light code, then you start to really get like, oh, it's you.
All this other stuff falls away. All of this other.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So
Wow.
that real beautiful connection with coding with somebody else that really just that you just go, wow. So
So
that's
beautiful.
beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you for your
Mm,
beautiful gift. Beautiful gift.
yeah,
Wow, I'm getting like no words.
yeah.
No words needed. No words needed. No words
No,
can be put on
numbers are
words.
needed.
Wow.
Indeed.
Ooh,
Mm,
what an exchange. And thank you all those who are witnessing this in the present and the apparent future, who are adding
mm,
to this field. And this is what this is a collective field, and what a beautiful gift to receive and give and share.
mm,
Mm. Wow.
mm.
This is when it's a bit of a challenge to go back to the human stuff now. Like pressing buttons and talking English and all of that sort of drama.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a bit of house cleaning, clean the
The
bathroom.
proper
Like,
grinding. We
oh,
grind that all in. We grind that all in. And you know what? My son and wife have literally just arrived this second. So that's amazing.
yeah,
Um,
beautiful.
so beautiful.
Thank you so much for
Just
inviting me on for this conversation.
thank
And
you.
you
Thank
know,
you.
yeah, and thank you everybody for all your wonderful comments to the side
Absolutely.
there. It's
Absolutely.
wonderful.
Yes.
Looking forward to
let's get to a few
it.
before because I evict my wife and son for these videos, so we've got a few more seconds before they, they come in. Yes, thank you so much. Everyone was commenting. Anita, Karen, thank you. Shirley, thank you. Patty, thank you. Everyone who is joining and
Yeah.
who is joining on the
Yeah.
in the apparent future. So just quickly before we get off again, just I want to say thank you and deep honoring to you, dear sister, dear beloved.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
can people who are not familiar with what you are being in this world connect with you? Obviously, we're on Facebook, on YouTube here, but anywhere else that you'd like to send them?
Yeah, so it's mainly really sort of YouTube and Facebook that I
Perfect.
sort of reside on and express. I have got a little Rumble, but it's not really sort of getting anywhere at the moment, but that's all
Yeah.
right. A little TikTok as well, you know,
Okay.
but my main platforms are YouTube and Facebook.
And so
So
Nicola Light on all of those, yeah?
yeah, nicolalight
Amazing.
.com is my website. So yeah, so I'm here of service. So yeah, so we just keep doing what we're doing and showing up, and we're committed, you know, committed to move forward into the evolution of our own healing journey, so that we can then guide through, you know, guide other people to, you know, sort of show them how we've done it. You know, and light language, as you can see, is so amazing. And my part of my mission is literally, come on, you know, let's get people sparking into their expression of light. So it's
Absolutely.
important.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Nicola. Thank you, all of you. And thank you, all of
Yeah.
you who are watching. And yes, look forward. Maybe we'll do this again. And I would love, let's see if we can make it happen. I've been given a new project, Heart Leader
Mhm.
project, and this is to take this and get in physical. So doing like proper in body connections recorded. So I did the first one yesterday with an amazing British yogi, 84 years old. So I'm sure we will get together for some heart leader fun,
Yeah,
wherever it may
absolutely.
be on the planet, but bodies together and beings together. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So I'm heading sort of possibly in September to Portugal. So hopefully
Oh,
maybe we'll be in
boom,
Portugal.
boom. There we go. Amazing. I
There we
love it. Thank you,
go.
sister. Thank you, everyone. See you
Okay,
soon.
take care. Thank you so much.
Ciao.
Mwah.
Love and
Bye.
blessings.